And Top Story is brought to you by Balakwa Mineral Water and Gasem Cement, the nation builder. My name is Ernest Manu. It is back on the floor of Parliament and once again generating controversy. Barring any intervention or hitches, it will be passed and significantly change the administration of public universities in the country. I'm talking about the Public University Bill 2020. Today, Parliament's Education Committee recommended the House approves the bill. Various teacher unions, including UTAG, have kicked against the bill, warning it will give government unfettered control over university administrators. But during the second reading on the floor of Parliament today, the Minority Leader, Haruna Idrisu, said unless government consults various education stakeholders to resolve the concerns, the minority will not support the bill.
UTAG, University Teachers Association of Ghana, and I'm sure Mr. Speaker's office have been copied, First Deputy Speaker, Majority Leader, Minister for Education, and in reads, University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, request for information on the status of the Public University Bill, and it reads in part, while waiting to be consulted, we have read news report that indicate that the bill is brought before Parliament when it reconvenes on 14 December 2020. Indeed, a Ghana web story caption, relay PUP, Public University Bill to Parliament without consultation worry, unquote. Signed Dr. Samuel Nkupa, President UTAG. Mr. Speaker, I also have University of Ghana Graduate Students Association of Ghana, Lagos. Request for stakeholder engagement on review of Public Universities Bill. It's also signed, and I hope that the Hansard will capture it, Atofu Yao Kwachi, Acting President Grasak, Lagos. And it also reads in part, receive a lot of constructive criticism and recommendations. Then, Mr. Speaker, I also have Student Representative Council, University of Ghana, a request to join the discussion on Public Universities Bill. Mr. Speaker, so stakeholder consultation is important to the work we do as Parliament. That is why Article 106 requires that we invite public memorandum. These are stakeholders who are affected by the bill, and therefore, an assurance from the Minister for Education that they will be thoroughly engaged, and a report of the engagement submitted to Parliament. Other than that, we are unable to support this bill. We want the legitimate concerns of university lecturers, teachers, and students in the governance of public universities to be appropriately covered as we proceed further on this bill. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And so you had that, the Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu advanced the argument of the minority in Parliament, but the Education Minister, Dr. Matthew Poku-Prempeh, insists there has been adequate consultation. He says only the University of Ghana branch of UTAG is objecting to the bill.
Agree with the honorable Minority Leader 100% of the essence and the necessity of consultation as he quoted article of our Constitution. Mr. Speaker, all the three letters stand for the University of Ghana. It is not UTAG National that is writing. And the name he mentioned, Samuel, is the president of UTAG University of Ghana. The current president of UTAG is Professor Charles Marfo of KUST. So, Speaker, I want to put on record that these three things only came from University of Ghana. 26 public universities who are going to be affected by this bill. So we got a thorough consultation. So we got, if you even read the title of the request that we got, take information on the status. They never said they have not been consulted. So we got, your committee chair and committee members are here. In fact, what caused the relaying is the enormity of the proposals the universities brought. Then the committee, I was invited, engaged them. And then they decided that because of the voluminous nature, they are going to incorporate it in the original bill. And then they will come and withdraw and relay the bill so that amendments are minimized. Your committee members are here on this side. So it is not about consultation. The Parliament in its own working did advertise for memorandum And when I did visit the committee, they had received 38 amendments, memoranda, Mr. Speaker. 38. 3-8. And they were all called to the committee to come and testify. Thorough confrontation. So, no, I just believe that I'll support the minority leader in saying that those who have brought this, we will invite them. Mr. Speaker, we will invite them. There's nothing to hide in this bill from government. We will invite them, we will listen to them as the committee chairperson gives a date. By the close of this weekend, that meeting should have happened, and we will duly bring a report. But like their protest, it is not about consultation. It is their requesting for information on the status of the bill.
And so you have the Education Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. Parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku Gatto joins me in the studio with more on this. Joseph, so this is the second reading of the bill, which has been laid again because it was initially laid, withdrawn, and then laid again last month because of a number of issues that came up concerning the bill. Now, Ben Ahiafo, who was on the floor of the House today, touched on a number of issues. One, on the appointment of the Chancellor, and then on the aspect of the bill that requires the universities to seek approval from the minister before entering a loan. What is his argument?
He thinks that to a certain extent defeats the idea that these universities are supposed to be autonomous institutions, and to a very large extent he thinks that the university being a corporate body, as has been established and will continue to remain even when the new bill comes into force, some of these controls is not really necessary and to a certain extent not consistent with the laws of the country. Ben Ahiafo is a member of the Education Committee.
Memorandum page 2, paragraph 4, it confirms the fact that the public university is established as a body corporate. Mr. Speaker, we all know the characteristics of a body corporate, as indicated in clause 1, sub-clause 2 of the bill. A body corporate has a perpetual succession. It has a legal status to be sealed and can also seal, and as such can also enter into a contract. Mr. Speaker, realize the case we are establishing the universities as a body corporate, yet when you go to clause 46 of the bill, the university being established as a body corporate with a characteristics to enter into a contract cannot enter into a contract except with approval of the minister responsible for education. If we go to clause 16, sub-clause 2, we are saying that the president would have to appoint the chancellor of the university. I believe strongly if this provision is allowed to stay, it will be repugnant with Article 195(3) of the 1992 Constitution. And Mr. Speaker, we risk the opportunity of making this particular law only for it to be taken up and then it will be shut down, just like what this House did in the case of the Chieftaincy Amendment Bill.
Ben Ahiafo there, a member of the Education Committee. The Education Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, responded.
He makes the point that to a certain extent the actions of the various public universities actually do impact on government's own planning and budget, citing situations where the University of Ghana had taken loans and did not be able to pay. It became government debt. So you can't pull any brakes on government over seeing some of these transactions as and when the universities want to undertake them.
Shareholders of the company can meet and decide that if these directors of the company don't invest the money of the company in these dirty areas like oil industry, we want only renewable. That is the prerogative for the shareholders. It doesn't mean that the directors are being controlled. It is my company. And I said the formal direction I want the company to go. And I appoint you as the director. I appoint you as the director to go and act in my stead. So when, Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, we say that if you are going to sell University of Ghana property, if you are going to mortgage University of Ghana to a third party, let government be aware. Mr. Speaker, if government exercising its function as the main shareholder, I don't want to quote a specific university that has entered into 3 transactions that colleagues from the other side requested me to come and stand at the podium to answer. University of Ghana, 1. What has happened to their Cow Bank loan? I was asked by the ranking member of the committee. Because they borrowed money on the backside of government to put up hotels. Those students have been occupying 6 or 4 hostels. It has accumulated a debt of 500 million plus. That went to court. That court says government should pay. At that time, Honorable Ayako, a seasoned lawyer, I was expecting you to go and defend the University of Ghana and say that leave government aside. Yes, government did not go and borrow. It is the council that went to borrow. So take hold of the council. This is not a trusteeship. Members of the university councils are not trustees who swear different oaths that will be held liably, individually responsible. So whatever they do, if it's debt, it comes back to the central government. Me and you have to work to pay. So if government says that if I'm going to pay your debt, before you go and enter into a risky transaction, like mortgaging property in a university, come and consult me and let me give you information. Just because there is nothing wrong. It is not an infringement on an academic's right. It is the shareholder exercising due prudence to make sure that his university is managed with prudence and efficiency. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And that was the Education Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to the President of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, Professor Charles Mafo. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Top Story. We also have on the other line the Executive Director of Education Watch Africa, Mr. Kofi Asari. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Let me start with you, Professor Mafo. The Education Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, says that all 26 public universities have actually agreed to this bill. In essence, you want it passed, except the UTAG branch of Legon, which is objecting to the bill. Can you confirm that?
No, that is not entirely true. And that is to say that we had a methodology. I mean, earlier on, UTAG National has made it clear that we are not fundamentally against the fact that the government wants to come up with a harmonized bill. But we are against the fact that its content is inimical to the academic freedom we enjoy. And so we set out to come out with a memo to the Parliamentary Select Committee, a very detailed document in which we seem to have punched holes in each clause of the so-called public university bill. In fact, it was a fantastic day because we had a very fruitful discussion. And I must say, the minister himself has been very cooperative. So we came to a point where we said that, look, if you think what we have suggested are right, remember, initially we said the bill is itself not necessary at all. But if you want to go ahead and publish it, then as public universities, we need to own it. And that is to say that we need to see to it that public rights or education, like academic freedom, is not trampled upon. And so after our meeting with the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education, they were supposed to come back to us with a reviewed or a restructured, or I don't know how to call it. Maybe they have a special term in Parliament. But that is what we have been waiting for. Nobody informed us that at this day, it is going to be presented to Parliament. In fact, we have always been made to believe that before it goes to the floor of Parliament, we will be giving the document as government wanted it to be, having considered our positions. And if you read our memo, we made it very clear on the first page that the bill in its current state sins against the Constitution of Ghana. We have not been presented with any new document, and we heard that a document is being debated. The question is, which of the documents? Is it the one we hate, we spoke against, and we will fight against, or the one that has considered all our considered views? and has been included.
Professor Mafo, you are saying that you have not seen this bill that has been relayed in Parliament.
No, my brother. In fact, we got to know this because of this bill, there has been a little bit of a fracas between UG and National Executive Committee, because at some point UG says that we should not even make recommendations and that government should trash the bill. But you see, I succeeded a NEC, and the NEC I succeeded has taken the position that we should make recommendations and suggested that until our recommendations are taken on board, we would never stand down. So for me, I'm disappointed that we have not been presented with any bill to scrutinize, to peruse, and something is being debated on.
At what point did you engage the Education Committee following the resubmission of this bill? We know that it was withdrawn. You agitated, you raised a number of concerns. It was withdrawn and then brought back to Parliament. You talk about engaging the committee. At what point did you engage them? And on what basis?
Sometime in May, we got an invitation because when we sent in our memo, I think there was a number of organizations that were invited. And we also invited. I can't remember a specific date, but sometime in May. But we were given a document that, I don't know whether that is what they are debated on, which has a date, 20th February 2020. And I must say, when I got it, I spoke to the minister. And he confirmed that that document is not it. And that he will give us the original document. As we speak, I don't have it. I don't know when we are going to get it. And so, what are they debating on? We are stakeholders in something that is definitely going to affect us. And you ignore us and go ahead and debate and say approved.
Professor Mafo, hold the line for me. We have the Executive Director of Education Africa Watch, Mr. Kofi Asare, also on the line. You have been in Parliament trying to get the attention of the Education Committee on this bill that has been relayed, and I'm talking about what has gone through the second reading in the House today. How significant is this bill, or how different is this bill from what was initially withdrawn?
Good evening and good evening to your cherished audience. Yes, we have been engaged in advocating the withdrawal of the bill insofar as it seeks to exact executive dominance in the governance of our public universities. The bill is significantly similar to the previous one. But before I go to the significant similarities, let me indicate that yes.
Mr. Asare, say that again. You said the bill is?
The bill is significantly similar.
Similar, okay.
Now, I heard the minister saying that they have consulted all the public universities, 20 or so public universities, and they are in support of the bill. Let me indicate that, one, the stakeholders of tertiary education are not just the staff of public universities. The university belongs to the whole society. And so just consulting public universities, staff who are government staff, it's not enough to say that because the public universities staff are okay, that's it. Be that is me, we are now hearing that even the head of UTAC has not seen the outcome of what the minister claimed was consultation. Consultation must lead to consensus. Any consultation without consensus cannot be called adequate participation. And so to the extent that the UTAC president has not even seen the output, or if you like, the outcome of the supposed consultation, it means that there is a significant degree of alienation, and that is significant going forward. Now move to the bill. Mr. President, on the 4th of April at Adumefe, on my that he decided to withdraw the bill because there were issues relating to the executive dominance on the University Council. Rightly so. Now, the president promised that we were going to take a second look at that contentious issue. He mentioned it specifically. Now, at that time, in the previous bill, the percentage of government appointees on the University Councils was about 30%. Was about 60%. And so one was relieved that after the election, Mr. President will redeem his promise and then reverse that particular problematic clause, because the status quo is 1/3 and not 2/3. Only to find out that a new bill is pushed in Parliament, and then nothing has changed significantly in terms of the composition of presidential appointees and government reps on the board. The president and government reps are still 9 out of 16. The danger is that a quorum for a university council meeting is 8.
Mr. Sari, let's break the figure down.
Of the, university,
the figure of 9 has been contested by the education minister. When you read the bill, it talks about the chancellor and then 5 others.
No, go further. Go further to section 8. Section 8 of the bill, yes, 8A-B talks about the chancellor, the vice chancellor, yes. But if you go to the other representatives, it says that one, and I'm talking specifically about 8D.
Okay.
Sorry, 8E. 2 reps from that are defined. 8F. 1 rep from CVET, below the rank, not below the rank of director, nominated by the Director General of the CVET service, who is an appointee of the president. The next one is the 1 rep from the genius, not below the rank of that of director, nominated by the Director General, who is also an offshoot of the president. So all the 9 are, and then the last one is the rep of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, currently National Council of Tertiary Education, who is also an appointee of the executive. And so the executive appointees de facto are 9. And then those from the university community are 7. The quorum for a meeting is 8. So, and it also provides explicitly that in the absence of the chair, no member of the university community can chair the council except a rep from government. What does this mean? The meaning is that government appointees, that's the presidential appointees and then the government reps, can constitute a quorum, take a decision for the running of the university. This is dangerous. If this is not dangerous, what else can be dangerous in the management of a public body like university? That is the key issue. And that is why we are calling on His Excellency the President to redeem the promise he made on Omai FM on the 4th of September during the electionary campaign. But now that we have voted for him, he has to redeem his promise, withdraw the bill, and ensure that the number of government appointees, be it executive appointees plus reps of government agencies, should not be the majority. It should be in the minority, so that the issue of executive dominance, the issue of the tendency of politicizing our university governance and management does not arise. For us, that is the core of all the issues we are discussing.
So, as far as you're concerned, once you're able to deal with that, even the issue of seeking approval from the minister before any public university could enter into a contract, those issues.
Or so. That is also problematic because that is actually inconsistent with the law. Because the university is a corporate entity. And so, how can you say on one it's a corporate entity, and then on another you are saying that the university cannot enter into a contract without approval of the minister? Even secondary schools, even senior high schools, do not seek approval of the Minister of Education.
The example he gave about the University of Ghana, is that not enough grounds to proceed on this particular clause in the bill?
The minister raised a cogent point about the issues surrounding the hotel loan and the University of Ghana. It is true that there were issues with compliance. The issue the minister raised had to do with law enforcement and compliance. There is a National Council for Tertiary Education. There is a Parliamentary Select Control Education and the Minister of Education. All these 3 agencies have executive and legislative oversight. So if officers of the university do not comply with the public financial management law, do not seek grants of the necessary, from the necessary bodies and obtain a loan and default, the people who break the law must be called to account. The solution is enforcement of an existing law and not the development of a new law. All we are saying is that if you put in such clauses that universities require the prior approval of the minister to enter into contracts, you end up micromanaging the investors. And that is not a solution, ensuring that there is administrative prudence, there is due process, there is observance to procurement regulations and other related regulations in law. That is not enforcement. And that is where we feel that it will be challenging for all 25 or so in public universities and the other numbers that are yet to come to always queue and be seeking approval from the minister before they can enter into any contract.
Mr. Starry, as it stands now, the bill has passed the second reading in Parliament, and the report of the committee asked the House to approve of it. That has been done, and it will continue. At what point do you hope to engage the committee and hope to make inputs on this particular bill?
Well, the stage we have gotten to, we've gotten past the stage of meeting committee. The issue is about the political will of the executive to pursue a bill, a promise to change how provisions in, especially the majority of executive of the governing council members coming from government. And so the right thing to do now is to petition the president to redeem the promise that he made on the 4th of September when he was taking re-election on Omayefin. And we have every confidence in His Excellency's honesty about that promise. And so we are going to petition His Excellency and bring his attention to the fact that, contrary to his promise, government appointees, reps of government agencies dominate the university council. And so that should be a basis for a withdrawal of the bill. We've seen bills last for 14 years in Parliament, including the Right to Information Law. No one rushed to pass it.
Mr. Asari, I want to thank you for your time here on Top Story. We've been joined by the ranking member on the Education Committee of Parliament, Peter Nochu. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Top Story. Now, you've heard the concerns from the University of Ghana Teachers Association. They say, and we spoke to the president a while ago, they have not seen the bill that has been relayed in Parliament. And the issue about engagement has also come up. The Education Watch is saying that the issues raised in the previous bill, which got it withdrawn, has still found its way into this new one. How do you respond to these issues?
Yeah, thank you very much. As a committee, we recommended to the minister some time ago to withdraw the bill, looking at the concerns raised by the various stakeholders, and that was carried out. So we felt strongly that looking at the bill, most of the concerns raised by the various stakeholders were taken on board. But the error in the exercise was there was no second engagement again after the bill was laid. And that's why the minority leader insisted that having received petition from some people or groups in the university, UTAC, GRAFAC, and then the SIC, he or minority will be unable to support the bill.
Why did you proceed with a second reading if indeed there was no second engagement with the stakeholders like you just mentioned?
The minister assured us that all the concerns of the various stakeholders had been taken on board. So they were even part of the rewriting of the bill. So we felt as a committee that giving us that assurance, there was no need to engage them any further.
But Mr. Nochu, you are familiar with the issues of this bill and the concerns raised by the stakeholders, UTAG and other civil society groups. I'm sure that you would have seen if any amendments were made before proceeding with the second reading. And yet the committee, the Education Committee of which you're ranking, asked the House to approve of it at the second reading.
Yes. As I was saying, that the minister assured us that all their concerns were taken on board, and that UTAC National was involved in the redrafting of the bill. With that assurance, even as far as the third schedule was concerned, we took it that he had done all that was necessary for the bill to be relayed. So that was why, as a committee, we felt that once he had engaged them and assured us, there was no need for us to call the stakeholder engagement again.
Now that it's come up,
realized
that they haven't even seen the bill that has been relayed, let alone be engaged, what happens?
Yeah, on this afternoon, the minority leader opposed to them, said that not until the stakeholder engagement was done, although we were going to have the second reading, the engagement must be done, reports brought to the House before we can continue to the consideration stage. And that was the agreement we came to on the floor today.
As ranking, are you able to tell me when you'll be meeting them?
Yes, we have asked the clerk to inform them so that we can meet tomorrow at 2 p.m. to start the engagement.
Very well. Thank you very much for your time. That's Peter Nochu. He's a ranking member on the Education Committee of Parliament. And that's it for Top Story, brought to you by Balakwa Mineral Water and Gasem Cement, the nation builder. My name is Ernest Manu. News Night is up next after this.